In the opening of the story trailer, we see a pan camera shot that slightly reveals, little by little, a crime scene with numbered objects that pertain to the activity conducted by the subject in question. The first item shows a steel pipe coated with blood. This could be one of many things, but a dark morbid thought could lead to Hinako presumably being the suspect in question who conducted this murder or murders. The second item is hard to detail given how far away the item is, but it seems to be that of a human organ, possibly a heart or something else entirely, but it's difficult to tell at this camera angle. Lastly, the third item seen at the crime scene is potentially some object that looks like a ring, but much like the previous object, it's hard to tell at this camera angle. With this in mind, we have dialogue from a police officer dispatched to the aftermath of the crime, forwarding his current information to his colleagues at the Kagurocho Police Department. During this scene, he tells his fellow officers that the suspect at the crime scene is nowhere to be found. After, there are vague comments left by the police officer which states, "Good chances that it's still ... or we better con ... over." The police officer may be referring to the evidence of the crime scene, as it's very recent, or the suspect. Give the next bit of dialogue where he comments that the suspect was last seen fleeing Suneyoshi Shrine. The next scene shows a very obscure and abstract imagery of a man hunched over Hinako, lying down, presumably incapacitated. The mysterious man then states, "You saved my life and laid claim to my soul." The next shot shows Hinako lying on her side, awakening to find herself in the dark shrine. The mysterious man continues with his monologue, stating, "In turn, I shall save your soul," by claiming the life of your old self. This is really interesting as this refers back to the idea of reincarnation and the passage into the afterlife being a central theme that is alluded to, such as, for example, the red spider lilies. As we know, the symbolism behind these flowers is rooted in Japanese culture. It's associated with the belief that spirits undergo the cycle of the afterlife, reincarnation, and the passage of death. The Japanese term for the red flower lily, higanbana, can be traced back to historical times in Japanese culture during the Ohigan, a tradition celebrated just before the autumn equinox believed to guide the spirits of the departed to their next life. Furthermore, we see the allegory of reincarnation and spirits in the afterlife with the introduction of this new character, who presumably can be inferred to as a heavily prominent figure, whom likely is a priest of this unnamed cult who worships the kitsune. Speaking of, as we see frames of the dark shrine, we see the re-established religious statue of the kitsune. Previously, it was speculated that the fox entity was rooted back to the Inari, also associated with the kitsune that is depicted in Shinto culture as the celestial scribe of messengers. It's important to note, however, that the kitsune and Inari are vastly different facets when it comes to their role in Shintoism. The Inari is depicted as a protector of rice cultivation, which furthers this prosperity as it preserves an important resource for those who are merchants and farmers, in contrast to the kitsune, who is seen as a messenger who worships the Inari. Interestingly, there's a juxtaposition of the good kitsune and bad kitsune. The good kitsune is seen as delivering good news and advice to humans, which are usually signs of good luck, such as signaling an upcoming successful harvest. The bad kitsune can be rooted to the beginning of the Edo period, where the kitsune was depicted as mischievous tricksters, which saw them dubbed as the nogitsune, which translates to wild foxes. Like their brethren, the nogitsune have a familial counterpart called the tenko, although this transformation isn't perfect, as they still retain qualities of a fox-like appearance. Furthermore, the tenko use their abilities to make humans become foolish or exact revenge. In Japanese folklore, the kitsune suki have the ability to possess women to feed off their life force, while seducing men whom they wish to trick into submission. With this context in mind, it's fascinating that these are traits that could bear semblance with that of the cult that worships the kitsune, as there are numerous statues depicted across the dark shrine, possessing cultural attire that sees religious-like imagery deemed angelic and holy, or possess qualities such as being messengers, such as the mysterious cult leader passing down messages to Hinako, as well as wanting to possess her former self. This mysterious cult leader, much like the kitsune, is also seen as calculated, manipulative, mischievous, and controlling when it comes to his interactions with Hinako. However, he is also seen as one that is a messenger, much like the Inari, such as this frame where we see Hinako follow him blindly through the dark shrine. Much like the characteristics of the Inari, this character can be one of goodwill and intent, given his warm introduction to Hinako, promising to help her as long as she helps him. However, once again, this character also exudes qualities of the kitsune, which can be deemed as antagonistic or calculated, given his ulterior motives. For example, we see in the ending scene of him and Hinako is constructed very carefully in his wording and how he interacts with Hinako. Here, he plants his arm around her shoulder, giving her a sense of comfort and security with a comment that reads, "It must be hard for you to bid farewell to your childhood friends," which sees Hinako respond with, "Yes." We then see a quick glimpse of this character's face revealed, which further confirms connections to the kitsune. At best, this unnamed cult leader is likely atypical in his stance when it comes to his intentions, which can be seen as manipulative and inquisitive behavior that is left ambiguous. Moving on, we see more iconography of the cult's religious symbol. Previously, it was believed that this not only had roots to Shintoism, but possibly the subtle connections and ties to the religious cult, the Order. While it's possible this could serve as allusions to the Order, given the religious themes of Silent Hill F, it's more likely seen as a mere coincidence. After conducting some research into the possible origin of this symbol, this in actuality refers to the Japanese god, Ibisu. Ibisu is depicted as a god of fishermen and good fortune. Ibisu is widely revered as a patron of fishermen and merchants, bringing good fortune and success in their endeavors. This religious symbol is likely in relation to the Japanese deity himself, which is further given credibility as the town of Ibisugaoka is potentially named after him. Afterward, we see more gameplay of combat, which shows Hinako witness and counter with the Kashimaski. This is the otherworld version of the Kashimaski, originally encountered in the Fog World. We discover that this monster screams loudly, emitting and producing a violent shockwave which stuns Hinako for a short period of time, and likely alerts other monsters nearby to signal onto her location. We then get a transcript from a mysterious female voice that states the following: "A good day is always an extraordinary day. An extraordinary day isn't always good though. With that in mind, today's a bit too extraordinary." As Hinako lies incapacitated, we see an effect of the environment dissolving. This is really interesting, as it could be a nod to the Otherworld effect in the Western Silent Hill games, which was unique as it produced a similar effect in real time when there was a transition to the Otherworld. We then see a montage of the town of Ibisugaoka, with another woman's voice heard. She says the following: "I wondered where you had gone. You need to start getting ready. It's time to say your goodbyes. You're going to kill them, with your own hands," referring to Hinako being forced to kill her friends. During this monologue, we see Hinako stumble upon her family home, frightened and shocked that the supernatural qualities produced by Silent Hill corrupted her home. Ending the trailer, we see a final shot of Hinako coming to find her former self standing in her bedroom. This could be connected back to the previous release date trailer, which saw a similar setting, where we saw Hinako see her face completely peel off. A couple of topics of interest. There was recently a leaked video taken from Gamescom at the Silent Hill F booth panel, which shows unreleased footage of Hinako awakening in the Dark Shrine. However, we get a different perspective from the camera angle, shifting from third person to first person. While this may give the false impression that this may feature a hidden first person mode, this is likely not the case, rather a stylistic approach to a scripted sequence. Although, this may hint at the possibility of seeing more unique perspectives like this one throughout certain events in-game. Lastly, we have an official reveal of the full map of Ibisugaoka. It is seen as incredibly massive and should feature lots of maze-like hallways in the neighboring districts, a large countryside, many Shinto shrines, and much more. One interesting detail of the map is a red coloring that could be related to the dead ends that obstruct the player's path and progression. These dead ends are previously seen in Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2. This gives further speculation that there will be new areas to explore upon consecutive playthroughs that were previously unavailable, which gives incentive to play on New Game Plus to unlock new perks, weapons, or endings. And with that, that's all the speculation and analysis for today. With the release of Silent Hill F being imminent, it's such a fascinating deep dive into the mysterious and ambiguous nature of this game's themes, lore, mythology, and story that's yet to be uncovered. But I have to ask, what are your thoughts so far on what we've seen with the recent story trailer? I would love to hear your thoughts and provide a discussion to further this conversation in the comments down below. Anyways, that's me. Thank you for watching, please have a great day, stay safe, and goodbye.